Hello students, how are you all? Welcome to the Bio classes with Aanchal. As per the comment, what I have received in the comment section, the next chapter covered will be nervous system. Now children, watch the video till end, because at end we will be discussing about the important questions that can be asked in the board examination. So let us quickly start, because we cannot waste time. Time is very crucial. So the first thing that we will study in the nervous system is the need of the nervous system. Now the need of the nervous system is to connect us to the outer world. So whatever way you are connected to the outer world is because of your nervous system. And what is the main unit of nervous system? Now this question can be asked. The unit of the structural and functional unit of nervous system, that is your neurons. Okay, the diagram can be asked in the examination. Let us have a quick diagram. Remember drawing it a kind of a star with a long tail, right? And just follow the tail easily, smooth lines, no shedding. These are the axon terminals. Okay, you have the nucleus and you have the extensions, the cellular extensions that is called the dendrites. Yes. Now with this you have a cell which covers your axon. This is the Schwann cells. Okay, and the gaps between them is called the node of Ranvier. The diagram can be asked for 3 marks, 1 mark for diagram and 2 marks for the label. So kindly label the diagrams correctly. Dendrites, then you have nucleus. This one is the, you have dot structures in the cyton. That's it, that is called the Nissls granule. Now the head part is called the cyton. The other name for cyton is perikaryon. Peri is surrounding, karyon is nucleus. So perikaryon or cyton, and the remaining part is called the axon. This is the axon terminal. Right? These are the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath has got the nucleus also. It's made up of Schwann cells. So cells will have the nucleus. This one is the node of Ranvier. So remember this much, you will get your full marks for the diagram. Okay. This is your neuron structure. Take a screenshot. Yes. So quickly let us move to the next topic, that is your transmission of the nerve impulse. Now in the transmission of the nerve impulse, what are the ions which are responsible for the transmission of nerve impulse? Is the sodium and the potassium ions. Okay. Anybody is aware about the active transport? We have studied in the chapter absorption in plants. What is active transport? So here we will come to know about the active transport, which is called the sodium potassium pump. Now in case of transmission of nerve impulse, you have to remember that the axon is a double line structure, you can say. This is a axon. Okay. Generally what happens, positive is outside and negative is inside. This is in, this is out. Similarly, this one is called a polarized state. Polarized state. Okay. Or you can say resting potential. Resting potential. Okay. Then what happens when the impulse, you can say, when the impulse hits the neuron, you have the positive ions moving inside and the negative ions move outside. Okay, I'll show that with a different color. So what happens, positive comes inside and the negative is outside. Okay, this is the normal resting potential. Fine. So in this case, here is the impulse which is generated. What happens when the impulse is generated, that times the permeability of the membrane increases to sodium ions. The sodium starts coming in. Okay, sodium starts coming in. That is around, for every 3 sodium coming in, it is 2 potassium ions going out. So this creates a gradient, and this happens. This is how the impulse is traveling, and later on what happens, by active transport, that is pumping the sodium out to the normal place, the restoration of the polarized state or resting potential is attained. So this is called the action potential. Okay, this is called the action potential. After that, the cell, the membrane again becomes repolarized. So this is important to know, repolarized. So first you have the resting potential, action potential and repolarization. So basically polarization, depolarization and repolarization. Polarization, depolarization and repolarization. So action potential mein you have depolarization. Remember this much, it's more than enough. Is that clear, everyone? So which ions are involved? Sodium and potassium. What are the steps? It's the first resting potential is a polarized step. In that case, what happens? Sodium is out and potassium is in, right? Now once the impulse hits the axon, then what happens? Sodium starts moving in and potassium starts moving out. This creates a condition of depolarization, which is called action potential. And then later again the sodium is actively pumped out by spending energy. That is called repolarization. This is what is all about the transmission of nerve impulse. Take a screenshot. Yes, children. Now next we'll move about the neurons and the type of neurons. Okay. Now neurons, basically what it does, there are few terms which is called stimulus, response, impulse, right? So you need to know the definition of these terms very clearly, right? Stimulus, for S for stimulus, S is sense organs. Okay. So generally what happens when we talk about the neurons, neurons are of 3 types. What are the 3 types? First is the sensory neuron. Right, sensory neuron. It is also called afferent neuron because, or the reason is because the stimulus arrives into your central nervous system through these neurons, the afferent neurons. Then you have motor neurons. Motor neurons are also called efferent neurons. And the last one is your association neuron. This is present in your CNS. Association, or you can say interrelay neurons, right? Interrelay neurons, interneurons. These are the words used for association neurons. Now neurons are single cells. Okay, so you know that this is the structure of your neuron. So there are many neurons and their axons are all put into one sheath, medullary sheath. This is called nerve. So what is nerve? Nerve is a bundle of axons, wrapped up in a sheath, a medullary sheath. Okay. Now what is this head then? All the cytons are together in one place, that is called ganglia. So I hope two important terms are clear, what is ganglia and what is nerve. Is that clear? So now you tell me, the bundle of neurons, axons is called nerve. So what will be sensory nerve? The bundle of axons that contains only sensory neurons are called sensory nerve. The bundle of axons which carries only motor neuron, that is called the motor nerve. And the neurons which, the bundle of axons of different types, that is sensory and motor together, is called a mixed nerve. So in case of nerve, you have another word which is called mixed nerve. So when you have to classify neurons, you have sensory, motor and association. If you have to classify nerves, you have sensory nerve, motor nerve and mixed nerve. Okay. Now sensory nerves are present on all your sense organs, your eye taking a stimulus from outside, sending it to the brain. Then motor neurons are giving the output, your hand is being removed, yeah, you want to close your eye muscles or you want to rotate your eyeballs. So all these things are the examples of motor nerves. And mixed nerve is present in your spinal cord, in your brain. Will you remember that? Very good. Give a thumbs up in the comment section, children, if you have understood what I have talked about. Let us quickly go to the arrangement of these neurons, and that will explain little bit of reflex action. Then after we are done with these words, we will go to the brain. Okay. Next one, what we will talk about is the arrangement. Okay. So let us see what happens. Now there is, you all know what is a reflex action. There are certain words which are the key words: quick, involuntary, immediate words should be there. Okay, when you have to explain the reflex action. We cannot wait to think that now, yes, the child has come in front of the car, I have to apply the brake. Till that time the child is gone, or anybody in front of the car is gone, right? So we have to have our reflexes. Reflexes are generally protective in function. Somebody coming and hitting you and we put our hands, that is also a reflex action, right? Touching a sharp object, removing it, that is also a reflex action. Is that clear? So let us talk about the neurons. I will introduce one more term here. Right, so here you have the sense organ, your skin, your eye, your ear, your tongue, anything. So the sense organ sends stimulus to the sensory neuron. Okay. Now here sits the association neuron. Okay, I will not be drawing very clear, very neat diagram, you just understand. Right, you can see here there is a small gap between the sensory neuron and this one is the association neuron. Association neuron. This is generally present in your CNS, in this case the spinal cord. I will talk about CNS and types of nervous system. So this gap what you see in between, that is the junction between the two neurons, is called a synapse. We have come across one more word, synapsis, in the chromosome chapter when the crossing over was taking place. So synapse is in nervous system, synapses. Cis is then a sister. It is in the cell division chapter. Anyway, now this is the association neuron. Then you have got the then you have got the motor neuron. So, motor neuron also has, you can see the gap, that is a point of junction here also, right. This is your motor neuron. Now, motor M is connected to the muscles or glands, and they are called the effectors. So, effectors, here these are called the receptors. Receptors receive stimulus and effectors give response. So, this is the complete reflex action that is taken. Now, this can be asked in arrange in logical sequence. This is present in your CNS. Is that clear? Take a screenshot. I think one diagram explains a lot. Excuse me, children. Is it okay? Now, next we will come to the different types of nervous system. I am going really fast because it is a quick recap and the revision for you. If you do not understand any topic, put it in the comment section. I will reply to your messages, children, with the diagram and the explanation. Okay? Nothing should be left behind for your boards. It is an important chapter. And now in the competency based question, you will realize that there are many questions which are from this chapter. Now, when you have to use an application based question on nervous system, then different actions can be asked, and which part of the brain, which part of the CNS, which part of the nervous system, which neurons, that type of questions can be asked. So, now let us understand about the nervous system. Nervous system basically is of two types. You can say two components. One is CNS, one is PNS. CNS is central nervous system. Central nervous system. Okay. Now, central nervous system comprises of brain, yes, and spinal cord. Spinal cord. Now, when we talk about the brain has got the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. When you talk about the forebrain contains CD. You know CD? Yeah. That is your cerebrum and the diencephalon. Diencephalon has got thalamus. Generally, with your pain and pressure receptors are present in thalamus, and your hypothalamus. That is from the name, hypo is below. So, below the thalamus there is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the thermostat of your body, that is the temperature regulator. Also, it is the boss of the endocrine system. Boss of the boss, that is pituitary's boss, is also hypothalamus. So, it controls your entire endocrine system, right. So, this is your forebrain. Midbrain is generally an association between the different forebrain and the hindbrain. It relays informations from the hemisphere, different part of the brain. Hindbrain contains cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata, right. So, your cerebellum is all the control and coordination. Pons, it's a regulator basically, and medulla oblongata, it is the involuntary actions is controlled by medulla oblongata, right. So, this much is understood. Any doubt? Yeah, very good. So, let us, I will describe about the PNS. I will just give you a hint. It has two components, ANS, that is autonomic nervous system, and SNS, that is somatic nervous system. We will talk about the PNS little later when we are finished with the brain and the spinal cord. Any doubt? Put it in the comment box. Yes? Now next we will talk about the brain. So brain is an important part of you. You know that you are you because of your brain, right. So brain is around 1400 grams, right, present in an individual. 2% of the body weight is your brain, and it utilizes 25% of the glucose in your system. Interesting fact? Yes. So let us see how the brain is brain contains. The diagram can be asked in the examination. Not to draw, yes, it's not for drawing, it's for diagram based question. There is a structure in your brain which connects the two hemisphere, okay, that is your corpus callosum. Then you have your I will not be very good in drawing the brain, but I will try my best. This is your cerebellum, here is your pineal gland, here is your medulla oblongata, and this one is your pons. Then here you have this is your brain structure, correct. So, we will have little bit folds, the sulci and the gyri, which increases the surface area of your brain to accommodate more of neurons. The more sulci and gyri means more neurons you have and more intelligent you are, correct. Now, if we have to label it, this one is the cerebrum, this one is the cerebellum, this one is your medulla, this one is your pons. Here basically a small, at the base of the hypothalamus there is a small pea-shaped gland that is called your pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, and this one is your hypothalamus. Okay, this is your basic human structure. If you see, this is your brain, this is your nose and so on, and this is your head. Okay, this is your head. So when you see there is a skull, okay, you have skull, you have a layer skull, and after that you have 3 layers of membrane, that is called the meninges. What are the layers around your brain? Meninges. Okay, there you remember this DAP? I know it's DAP or something, I don't know, but I relate it to DAP. DAP is what? Dura mater, arachnoid and pia mater. Okay, what are the meninges? It's dura mater, pia mater, no, that is the third one, arachnoid and pia mater. Okay, remember these DAP. So you will remember the order of your meninges. So here you have skull and here you have brain. So you have skull and brain. So this is the order in which you have your head, that is on the cranium, the skull, and then you have dura matter, arachnoid and pia matter. These membranes are filled with a fluid which is called CSF. We have already covered this in the abbreviations video. If you have not seen it, the link is given in the description. All the 36 abbreviations are given. So CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. It is present in between the meninges and it is also present along with the spinal cord, the covering of the spinal cord. So this is your brain, the entire brain of yours. Any doubt, children, here? The structure of brain is clear. Now what is the function of cerebrum? You are intelligent because of your cerebrum. So intelligence, logical thinking, reasoning, decision making, all these things comes from cerebrum. Cerebellum is muscle coordination, walking properly, or you know that there is a very frequently asked question that a drunken man cannot walk properly because it affects the cerebellum. So muscle coordination is responsible, that is cerebellum is responsible. Now what does pons do? Pons relate your right part and the left part. You work in coordination, no? You know that you have two parts of the brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. They are connected by corpus callosum. I have not written it. Corpus callosum. Right? The corpus callosum connects your, there is a bridge. Between bridge there is a you can say a hard part which separates your left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Pons helps in regulating a coordination between your right and the left. Okay. Then medulla oblongata is for all your involuntary actions, your breathing rate, your heart rate, all that things, involuntary actions are controlled by medulla oblongata. Is this clear? Take a screenshot if you want. Yes. So we move to the next part of the chapter, that is your another nervous system, that is your PNS, the peripheral nervous system. Now before that I just forgot about the spinal cord, right? I always consider spinal cord as whenever we have to act fast, no, it is our spinal cord which works. So if somebody hits you and you put your hand up, it is your reflex action. But if somebody hits you and you give it back, it's socha samjha sadish, right? That is your thinking, your brain is involved in it. Fine. So let us talk about the spinal cord. Spinal cord. You have one more thing is left in the brain that I'll talk about. Will you remember a word called Chhattisgarh? Chhattisgarh is a place, you know that. Chhattisgarh, right? That means cyton is a grey matter and axon, what is left behind, is a white matter. Okay. Now brain is a coconut. Coconut, why? Dark outside and white, dark out, white in, right? So dark out means grey matter out and white matter in, right? Similarly, your spinal cord is the opposite. You have dark in, that is your cyton, grey matter inside, and white matter axon outside. This is a very important question for your examination. The component of your brain, that is differentiate between brain and the spinal cord based on the arrangement of your neurons or arrangement of the grey matter and white matter. Now you know that neuron contains cyton and axon. So generally the cyton makes up the grey matter and the axon makes up the white matter. How will you remember? Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh is cyton is grey matter. Okay. So you are going to Chhattisgarh. cyton is grey matter, axon is white matter. Is this clear? So when you talk about your spinal cord, it's a kind of a butterfly structure, right? And you have the neurons being, so what happens here, you have the sensory organs, sense organs, that is your receptors. So you will have a sensory neuron, then here you will have a motor neuron, and then you will relay the, what information has to be sent? No, this one is not a motor neuron, association neuron. So you have sensory neuron, association neuron, and you have motor neuron. This is your reflex action. Is this clear, everyone? So you have, this is the that is the central cord, you can see. Then you have dark in, so this is your grey matter, this one is your white matter. So grey matter, white matter, sensory neuron, association neuron, motor neuron, done. Reflex action drawing is easy to draw. Yes? So may I rub it? Yes, children. Next, what will be talking about your PNS. Now, peripheral nervous system. When you talk about your peripheral nervous system, means whatever which comes out from your central nervous system, right? Your hands, your legs, all these things are emerging, what to say, they have neurons emerging from your central nervous system. Brain has some extensions, your spinal cord has got some extensions, and there are neurons and the series of ganglia which is embedded in the organs of your body. So they function and they relay the impulse from central nervous system to the effector muscles and vice versa. So now when we talk about the peripheral nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Okay, peripheral nervous system has got two components. You have ANS and you have SNS. SNS is your somatic nervous system. What it is? Somatic. I am not writing nervous system, you know that NS is nervous system. It comprises of two components. You have cranial nerves which arises from your brain and your spinal nerves which arises from your spinal cord. In exam, the question is asked that how many, on the basis of the number, differentiate between cranial nerves and spinal nerves. So there are 12 pairs. Please do not write 24 or 12. You have to write 12 pairs. And spinal nerve is 31 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 1. 12 pairs and 31 pairs. Okay. When you talk about the ANS, ANS also has got two components. Sympathetic nervous system, and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system prepares your body for action and parasympathetic calms it down. So S for sympathetic, S for stress. So whenever your body encounters any kind of stress, physical or mental or emotional, it is your sympathetic nervous system which functions. Now in this case, the first thing that happens in your sympathetic nervous system is your digestive system stops functioning. So you have drying of the throat, decrease in the secretion of the saliva, the upsetting of the stomach, right? And even your tears do not come out. So that the, the inhibition of secretion of the tears from the lacrimal glands, your pupil dilates, your heartbeat increases, blood vessels constrict. Remember, blood vessels for the entire body constricts, but when it comes to your coronary blood vessels, it does not, because your heart has to function more when you are under stress. You have to breathe more when you are under stress. Understood? So kindly relate and learn. So understand what all the things happen. The pupil dilates, the bronchi, the respiratory system tubes, they all dilate. Your respiration increases to supply more oxygen. Your heartbeat increases. Now when your heartbeat increases, then your digestive system stops, right? Your digestive system does not function properly. The blood from the skin is all diverted to the muscles. So you turn pale. The muscles of the body relax so that you can run away. So that is your urinary muscles, urinary bladder muscles also relaxes. Understood? So your body is prepared for the action in case of sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic, all opposite happens. Your body calms down, heartbeat comes to normal, respiration rate comes to normal, the pupil constricts, the blood vessels normally dilate, right? The heart starts functioning normally, digestive system resumes its function. So all these things happens in the parasympathetic nervous system. Is this clear? We have one experiment, that is Pavlov experiment. Now children, in case of your nervous system, please remember this reflex actions, they are very important for this examination. Reason being, no, you have this competency based question. So in that case, the questions related to your inborn reflexes, the conditioned reflexes can be asked. Okay. Now suppose I will give you 2-3 examples, just tell me, I will not cover those examples here. Your ability to salivate, right, for certain food items, what kind of reflex it is? You are tying your shoelace, what kind of reflex it is? So kindly write in the comment section, let me check your reflexes. Yes? So when you talk about the actions, there are two types of actions. One is voluntary, that is, I want to write on the board, that's a voluntary action, and involuntary. Involuntary, basically they are reflexes, that is, you cannot control, right? So here there are two again. One is natural reflexes that you are born with, and one is conditioned reflexes that we learn in our lifetime. So it is also called acquired reflexes. Yes. Acquired reflexes. So natural reflexes are what we are born with. Blinking of the eye, coughing, sneezing. These are all examples of the natural reflexes. Now suppose I serve you biryani and you like the taste. Next time I serve you again, you start salivating. That is the conditioned reflex. Conditioned reflex pe Pavlov has done a very good experiment. The Pavlov experiment. Now what he did, he had a dog and he gave dog some food. So what happened? The outcome was salivation, that is saliva release. Okay, this was natural. This is a natural reflex. The dog will, whenever the dog sees food, the saliva will be released. Then what happens? He started feeding the dog with a sound of a bell. But by seeing the food, the dog salivated. He did this for many days so that the dog's mind was conditioned that whenever there is a bell ring, the dog will be served some amount of food, right? This is the conditioning what he did. Later on, when Pavlov just ring the bell without the food, the dog started salivating. This is what he explained about the conditioned reflexes. So Pavlov experiment is about conditioned reflexes. Is this clear? So now, as I promised that those people who will watch the video till last will get some important questions. Now in this chapter, the diagrammatic question, that is, draw a neat label diagram of the neuron. It can be asked in two ways. Draw the neat label diagram of the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Then diagram based question on your brain. Then competency based question on the reflexes, that is voluntary and the involuntary reflexes. Okay. Then you have the question of differentiate between spinal nerve and the cranial nerve based on their number and origin. Okay. Differentiate between the brain and the spinal cord on the basis of the arrangement of cyton and axon, or grey matter and white matter. So always remember, Chhattisgarh, cyton is grey matter, brain is a coconut, spinal cord mein ulta. Fine. Then you can be asked some abbreviations, CNS, PNS, SNS, ANS, all this CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, arrange in logical sequence, that question be also asked, right. Next topic that I will be cover will be sense organs. Okay. Go through the chapter, let me know if you have any doubt, put the doubt in the comment section, and I am telling you it will be answered. Thank you so much. Happy learning, children.